The space station floated quietly above a pale green planet. It was a research hub shared by many species. Humans worked there. So did aliens from dozens of worlds. One of them was Thelexa. Thelexa wasn't like the others. She was shy. She kept her head down. Her skin was a soft bluish purple and her ears had a delicate point to them. She walked carefully, never too fast, and rarely spoke. Most thought she was strange. Some ignored her. Others whispered things when they thought she couldn't hear. But Thelexa didn't mind. At least that's what she told herself. She had her room, her work, and her silence. It was safe that way. One afternoon, while she was walking down corridor 7B, her path crossed with a human. He was fixing a power panel, wires sparking slightly. His name was Leo. He was wearing a dark tool belt and had grease on his hands. He looked up as she passed. Thelexa didn't meet his eyes. She never did with humans, but she heard his voice. "Hey," he said casually with a soft smile. "You're very beautiful." She stopped. Her heart skipped. At first she thought she misheard him. She turned slightly, but he was already back to fixing the wires like nothing happened. Beautiful? No one had ever said that to her. Not in that way. Not with that tone. Not even on her homeworld. There, her features were too soft. Her eyes too wide. Her voice too quiet. She was always the girl who didn't fit in. The one others called cloud-faced or shade-blooded. Nicknames that made her feel even smaller. But this human. He said it so simply. No laugh, no sarcasm. Just truth. Thelexa hurried away, but her mind stayed behind. That night, in her small room, Thelexa couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed, holding a small hand mirror. She had used it many times before, but only to check for dust or tidy her hair. She had never really looked. Now she did. Her reflection stared back. Pale eyes, high cheekbones, a faint shimmer in her skin. She touched her face gently. "Beautiful," she whispered. She didn't know what humans saw when they looked at aliens. Maybe they found strange things interesting. Maybe he was joking. But no. His tone wasn't mocking. It wasn't empty. It was warm. Thelexa set the mirror down, then picked it up again. The next morning, she didn't go to her work post. She stayed in her room and sat in front of the mirror on the wall. It was large, installed for basic grooming and uniforms. Today she used it for something else. She stood tall and straight, studying her form. She turned side to side. She brushed her long, dark hair, letting it fall across her shoulders. She put on different outfits, her work robe, a training jumpsuit, even a soft green shawl she had never worn in public. Each time she checked the mirror, she tried smiling. It felt strange at first. Her lips didn't know where to go. But when she finally got it right, her reflection looked brighter, lighter, like someone else, like someone free. Hours passed. The station's lights shifted to indicate evening. But Thelexa hadn't moved much. She hadn't even eaten. She was still trying to understand, still wondering if it was possible. Could a human really mean that word? Elsewhere on the station, Leo noticed something. Thelexa hadn't appeared for her routine duties. She was always quiet but never missed a shift. He asked another alien girl if she'd seen her. "No," the girl said. "She's been in her room all day." Leo felt uneasy. He replayed the moment in his mind. Did I say something wrong? He remembered her reaction, how she paused, almost froze. Maybe she didn't like being noticed. Maybe she found his words rude, but that wasn't his goal. He just said what he saw. Thelexa really was beautiful, not just in appearance, but in the way she moved, soft and gentle like a breeze. And her eyes carried stories no one had taken the time to hear. Leo sighed and went back to his tools. Maybe tomorrow she'd return. Thelexa finally stood from the mirror as night fell over the station. She stepped out of her room and walked toward the viewing dome. It was always quiet there at night. Few others came. She stood under the stars, hands behind her back, her reflection shining faintly in the clear glass. Something had changed inside her. For the first time, she wasn't hiding. She was curious. Curious about how one word could shift her entire world, and even more curious about the human who said it. The morning light of the space station glowed soft white through the vents. It was the start of a new cycle, but Thalexa had barely slept. Her mind kept returning to that one word, beautiful. She sat again in front of the large mirror, brushing her long hair slowly. She had never paid much attention to her own reflection before, but now, every little detail felt new. Her fingers touched her soft cheek. She leaned closer. "What did he see?" she whispered. The mirror didn't answer. It only reflected her pale violet skin, her smooth jawline, and her wide, curious eyes. Her people used to say those eyes made her look too strange, too innocent. But maybe, to the human, they weren't strange at all. She reached into her storage drawer and took out a silver band. It was plain, with no gems, no light. A gift from her mother long ago. She had never worn it. Now she slid it onto her wrist and stared at it in the mirror. It made her feel different. Back in the main hallway, Leo was cleaning up wires from his previous repair job. His eyes kept checking the corridor. "Still no sign of her?" he asked, a passing technician. "No," the alien shrugged. "She skipped again. She's not sick, though. Just, busy, maybe." Leo looked down. Maybe he had said too much. Maybe calling her beautiful was the wrong thing. But he didn't regret it. Not really. Thalexa stood and took a step back from the mirror. Then she tried something she had never done before. She posed, one hand on her hip, chin slightly tilted. Then she tried turning slowly. She laughed once, just once, because it felt strange. Like she was acting. But at the same time, it felt good. She picked out one of her older work robes. It was soft blue with silver lines, very plain. Then she picked out a dark gray one with a higher collar. It made her look taller, stronger. Back to the mirror. Which one? She asked herself quietly. She tried both again. The soft blue made her look gentle. The gray made her look proud. For the first time, she wanted to choose how to look, not just cover up but show something. She chose the soft blue. A quiet knock came from her door. She stepped back in surprise. No one ever visited her room. "Thalexa?" a voice said softly. It was Kira, another alien girl from the same species, but with brighter skin and louder voice. Thalexa opened the door. Kira looked surprised. "You look different." Thalexa blushed. "Do I?" "Yes," Kira said with a small smile. "People are talking. They said you've been in here all day. Some said you were sick." "I'm not sick," Thalexa replied calmly. "I've just been thinking." Kira stepped inside and saw the mirror, the outfits on the bed, the silver band on Thalexa's wrist. Then she said something unexpected. "Is it true a human called you beautiful?" Thalexa's eyes widened. "How did you know?" "It's been whispered around. The human technician? Leo. You passed him 2 days ago." Thalexa nodded slowly. Kira didn't laugh. She didn't joke. Instead, she walked to the mirror and stood beside Thalexa. "I don't know if they understand what that word means to us," Kira said. "But if someone said it, I'd want to believe it too." Thalexa looked at her friend's reflection. "I didn't know how to feel. I still don't." Kira smiled gently. "Well, you seem brighter now, you're shining." Whatever he said, it helped. Later that day, Thalexa finally left her room. She didn't go to work. She didn't go to the mess hall. She went to the observation dome, where clear glass showed the stars beyond. There she stood still for a long time, just looking at the reflection of the galaxy. And herself. A few younger aliens passed by. One of them, a small girl with silver eyes, tugged at her robe. "Are you a star being?" the child asked. Thalexa blinked. "No, I live here." "You look like someone from the stars," the girl said with a smile and skipped away. Thalexa turned back to the glass. This time she smiled too. Meanwhile, Leo finally worked up the courage. He walked toward Thalexa's dorm section. He wasn't sure what he'd say, or even if she'd want to see him, but when he turned the corner, he saw her in the dome. She was standing tall, calm, bright, and more beautiful than before. He paused. Maybe he should leave her alone. But then, she turned and noticed him. Their eyes met. She didn't look away, she didn't hide. Instead, she nodded, just a small, gentle nod as if saying, "I heard you, and I'm okay." Leo smiled and nodded back. In that moment, neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The stars above watched quietly as two beings from different worlds stood under the same sky, one who had finally seen herself and one who had helped her begin. After that evening in the observation dome, something changed in Thalexa. It was subtle at first, but it grew day by day. The next morning, Thalexa woke earlier than usual. The soft hum of the station's systems filled her small room. For the first time in a long time, she felt a little lighter. Not just in body, but in heart. She dressed carefully in the soft blue robe she had chosen the day before. As she looked in the mirror, she noticed the slight smile that touched her lips. She smiled back. This was a new feeling. When Thalexa stepped out into the corridor, other aliens noticed immediately. They saw the way she walked with a steadier step. They heard her voice, clear and gentle, when she greeted others. Kira was the first to approach her. "Thalexa," she said with a bright smile, "you look different, happier." Thalexa nodded. "I feel different. Maybe because someone said something kind." Kira laughed softly. "I told you, it's not easy to hear words like that and not change." As the day went on, more aliens came near Thalexa. Some asked questions quietly. Others just smiled when she passed. It was new for her to be noticed this way. Not with whispers or looks of pity, but with respect. Leo watched from a distance, surprised and happy. He had not expected his simple words to have such an impact, but he also saw that Thalexa was still careful, still shy at times. One afternoon, in the hydroponic garden filled with green plants and soft light, Leo found her tending small alien flowers. "Hello, Thalexa," he said softly. She looked up and smiled gently. "Hello, Leo." They stood side by side quietly for a moment. "You're doing well," Leo said. "I'm glad you're feeling better." Thalexa nodded. "Your words helped me see something new, but I am still learning." Leo smiled. "We all are." The next few days passed with quiet changes. Thalexa began to join small groups during meals. She spoke softly, but her words carried weight. Other aliens listened. She even laughed openly once or twice, a sound that was rare and beautiful. Word spread around the station. The shy alien girl who once hid away was becoming a small light for others. Younger aliens who felt strange like she once did began to follow her example. One day, while walking through the station's education wing, Thalexa saw a group of young alien girls sitting silently. They looked sad, avoiding each other's eyes. Thalexa felt a sudden urge to help. She approached slowly and sat beside them. "Hello," she said softly. "I used to feel lost too." The girls looked at her surprised. Thalexa smiled gently. "But someone told me I was beautiful. It made me start believing in myself." She spoke about her own fears, her doubts, and how a simple kind word had changed her. The young girls listened closely. By the end, some of them were smiling. They thanked her quietly. For the first time, Thalexa felt proud, not just of herself, but of being able to help others. Leo watched all of this from afar. He felt a quiet pride. It was not just about beauty or words, it was about hope. Humans and aliens, different in many ways, but connected by kindness. One afternoon, as Thalexa finished her work in the garden, Leo approached again. "Alexa, would you like to see something?" he asked, holding a small device. She nodded curiously. He showed her a screen filled with pictures of different people from Earth, some with all shapes and colors, some with scars and smiles. "This is how humans see beauty," Leo explained. "It's not perfect, it's many things, but it's always real." Alexa studied the images. She saw faces that were not like hers, but they all had something bright. Leo smiled. "You remind me of that." Alexa's eyes shone. "Thank you, Leo." That night, Alexa stood again in front of her mirror. But this time, she didn't just look at her reflection. She looked into it. She saw someone who was no longer afraid, someone who was growing stronger every day. Her smile was real now. She whispered to herself, "Maybe I am beautiful." The mirror did not reply, but Alexa did not need it to, because she knew the truth. Alexa walked through the busy corridors of the station, but now she did not keep her head down. She looked around with new eyes. The colors of the walls, the soft hum of machines, the voices of aliens talking. It all felt alive, full of promise. She thought about what Leo had told her. Beauty was not only about how someone looked, it was about what they felt inside and how they shared it with the world. One day, a call came from the cultural center of the station. They asked if Alexa would share her story with others. At first, she was scared. Speaking in front of many people was something she never did. But then she thought of the young alien girls she had helped. If her story could help even one of them, it was worth it. She agreed. The day of the talk, the cultural center was filled with different species. Aliens from many planets, and a few humans too, sat quietly, waiting. Alexa stood on the small stage. She felt her heart beating fast. Her hands trembled slightly. But then she saw Leo in the crowd. He gave her a small, encouraging smile. Alexa took a deep breath and began. "I want to tell you something," she said softly. "For a long time, I thought I was not good enough. My people said I was different, strange, and I believed it. I hid from the world because I thought that was safer." She paused. But then, a human told me something I had never heard before. He said I was beautiful. The crowd was silent. Alexa smiled. That word changed my life. It made me look at myself differently. I started to believe in my own worth. After her talk, many people came to thank her. Some shared their own stories of struggle and hope. Others just smiled warmly. Alexa felt proud. For the first time, she was not just the quiet girl in the corner. She was someone who could inspire others. Leo came over and said, "You did great." Alexa smiled. "Thank you for helping me believe." Leo shook his head. "You did the work. I just said a few words." Days passed. Alexa's new confidence did not go unnoticed. Her alien friends began to ask her for advice. They wanted to know how to feel better about themselves. Alexa listened patiently and shared what she had learned. Slowly, the idea spread. The station's culture was changing. Beauty was no longer only about appearances or rules. It was about being true to oneself. One afternoon, Alexa received a message from her homeworld. It was from her mother. "Dear Alexa," the message said, "we have heard about your story on the station. We are proud of you." Alexa's eyes filled with tears. She had always missed her family, but she had feared they might never understand her. Now she felt a new connection. She sent back a simple message. "Thank you. I am learning to love myself." The next day, Alexa visited the younger alien girls again. This time she brought books and pictures from Earth sent by Leo and his friends. She showed them stories of humans who looked different, who faced hard times but who found strength inside. The girls listened with wide eyes. Alexa said, "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you." The small group smiled, and some hugged her. At the station's central plaza, a festival was held to celebrate different cultures. There was music, food, and dances from many worlds. Alexa wore a bright green dress that made her skin glow softly under the lights. She stood beside Leo, watching the crowd. Someone came forward and said, "You inspire us, Thalexa." She smiled and nodded. Leo looked at her and whispered, "You changed more than yourself. You changed all of us." Thalexa looked up at the stars shining through the station's dome. For the first time, she felt at home, not just in the station, but inside herself. The space station was calm in the early hours. Stars twinkled through the wide glass dome above, and a gentle hum of machines filled the air. Thalexa stood near the center of the dome, her eyes reflecting the endless sky. She felt different now, stronger, clearer, and more certain. The journey that began with one simple word had changed her life forever. The cultural event was about to begin. Species from across the galaxy gathered in the grand hall. Music floated through the air, and colorful lights danced across the walls. There were displays of art, technology, and stories from every world. Thalexa had been invited to speak again. This time not just about herself, but about what she had learned. Leo stood nearby, quietly proud. Thalexa stepped onto the stage. Her heart beat fast, but her voice was steady. "Friends," she began, "we all come from different places, different stars, different skies. We speak different languages and live by different customs. But there is one thing that connects us all." She paused, looking at the crowd. That is the power of kindness and truth. When someone sees you, not just your face but your soul, and says something that lifts you up, it can change everything. She told them about the day Leo called her beautiful, about how it made her see herself in a new light, about how she learned to believe in herself and to help others do the same. After her speech, the crowd stood and clapped. Many came forward to share their own stories. A tall alien with silver skin told how his people ignored him because of his small size. A human woman spoke of feeling lost in a new world. Thalexa listened to each story, knowing that the path to acceptance was different for everyone. Later, as the event closed, Thalexa found Leo waiting. "You were amazing," he said softly. Thalexa smiled. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you." Leo shook his head. "You did this yourself. I just spoke a truth you already had inside." They walked together to the observation dome. Stars shone bright and clear. Thalexa looked up. "I spent so long hiding, afraid to be seen. But now I know that being seen is the first step to being free." Leo nodded. "And sometimes, all it takes is one word." They stood side by side, two different beings, connected by something simple, but powerful. The next morning, Thalexa visited the education wing again. The young alien girls greeted her with smiles and hugs. She brought new stories, new lessons about hope and strength. Her silver band caught the light as she spoke. She told the girls, "Remember, beauty is not just how you look. It is who you are. Your kindness, your courage, your heart. That is what makes you shine." The girls listened, eyes wide and bright. Days turned into weeks. Thalexa's confidence grew. She took part in more station activities. She laughed more freely. She helped others find their own voices. Her people from her homeworld sent more messages, expressing pride and love. Thalexa felt a new kind of belonging. One evening, as she walked through the quiet corridors, she stopped by a small room where a mirror hung. She looked into it. This time she saw not just her reflection, but a story of courage, change, and hope. She whispered, "Thank you."